Wow, there is a new law to automatically draft women. Now, this comes days after a new law has passed in the House that will automatically draft men. But this new law will automatically draft women, and it seems like it's actually very close to being passed. And I'm going to explain how this is all going down. So, many of you heard a couple of days ago that the House had actually passed a bill. It's a defense bill. The defense bill is something that has to be passed. So basically, how much you're going to spend on the country's military. This is a bill that has to be passed. The government has to pass it because the military cannot be shut down. That is one thing that we cannot argue on. That Congress will not argue on. They will not argue on a defense bill. So basically, it has to be passed, especially with everything that's happening right now around us. In the defense bill, they attached an amendment that would require that all men, 18 and older, would automatically be registered for the draft. Typically, men have to go down to they have to go down to, I believe it's the DMV when they turn 18 in the United States, and they have to go and register for the draft. If they don't, they lose access to things like, their driver's license, so and also to things like federal student loans. And there's a small window. So, for example, if you don't register by a certain age, you can never register again. The interesting thing is, though, while they basically set it up as kind of a threat, like if you don't register, you're going to be punished, there's a lot of men who don't register and what they're finding now is that 100,000 men every year are refusing to register. So who are these men? That's 100,000 Gen Zers. 100,000 Gen Zers every year are refusing to register for the draft. They're not going, they're not registering, and this is the reason why the bill is there. So it actually passed in the House, and now it's headed over to the Senate. The entire defense bill is unlikely to be passed because there's things in there that the Democrats are not going to like. But this is a major thing because the Democrats themselves have wanted this change, and this actually passed in the House, which is currently controlled by the Republicans. So now that the bill has gone to the Senate, in the Senate, they're going to basically make changes and then resubmit the bill to the House. And then the bill, once it passes in the House, it goes to the president's desk to be signed. The Senate is doing something very interesting. In the Senate, they've actually added they have their own version of a defense bill. In their version of the defense bill, it actually contains a requirement that women be drafted. Now, keep in mind, this is where things get interesting. So the Democrat-controlled Senate wants women to be automatically drafted, wants women to be forced to sign up for the draft. This was not in the original bill that was passed in the House, but it is in the Senate. So what more than likely what will end up happening is you will have one bill when they send it back to the Senate that will include the requirement for both men and women to be automatically drafted. So women will be required to not only sign up for the draft, but they will be automatically drafted as well. Because you would not be able to just say, okay, well, women are required to go and sign up, but men are automatically signed up. It wouldn't work like that. So no, they're just going to resolve it, and they're going to send that back to the House. And from what we understand, both of those will be in there because there's a bipartisan effort. So neither the House or the Senate is arguing over these 2 points: that women should be drafted, and that it should happen automatically. So where we're headed right now is based on the findings, and you can, I have it up on the screen right here, because they're trying to the Independent is trying to back out of it and say, oh, it's not that it's mandatory. Congress has not voted to make U.S. women eligible for conscription, but that's not entirely true, because last Friday, the Republican-controlled House passed a new version of the National Defense Authorization Act, allowing U.S. government to automatically pull records from other federal databases to enroll men ages 18 through 25 into the draft system. And, here's the thing. The new version of the NDAA is unlikely to be passed because it includes controversial partisan provisions such as restrictions on reproduction, but those are the only issues that exist in the bill. Those are some of the only issues that exist there. Meanwhile, the Senate Armed Force Committee has introduced its own version of the NDAA. Okay, so the Senate has their own version of the bill, which would make women eligible for the draft. So notice the issues that exist, that, like I said, in the bill have nothing to do with these 2 points. The Senate wants to draft women. The House wants to make it automatic for men. Guys, do you see where we're going with this one? There's no debate on this. There are no arguments on this at all, on whether or not men should automatically be signed up for the draft, or women should be included in the draft. So it looks like this is coming for both Gen Z women and Gen Z men, and women are going to automatically end up being signed up for the draft unless the Senate suddenly decides to strip this point out. It looks like they're both going to end up, both Gen Z men and women are going to end up being automatically registered for the draft. And another very important point to make regarding all of this is that right now, compared to 50 years ago, the number of the reserves, so the reserves that we have in the United States, military reserves, they're at 1/10 of what they were 50 years ago. 1/10. So that's how bad the military is right now. They're not able to meet their minimums. They're not able to meet their recruitment guidelines, with the exception of the Marines. This year, it's very, very bad. Gen Z is not joining. They're not serving. And of course, I've already said this before, that when they come knocking on your door and say get on the bus, do not get on the bus, because Gen Z already has a platted motion that they'll head out to the woods, and they're going to try to run away to Canada, or even if a lot of them are just so lazy, just go let it. Guys, the recruiter will come. Let's just be real about Gen Z. The recruiter will come, like the sergeants will come. These dudes with shaved heads banging on the door, saying that open up, open up, open up. Some of these guys will roll. They'll even roll with the police, because they'll have police officers with them, because they're there to get you and put you on the bus. And Gen Z will just be inside their homes, like they'll be inside their homes. They have Ring outside, Ring doorbell. They might even check it, and these guys, the sergeants are there banging on the door because they're there to collect these guys. And Gen Z's just laying in bed, farting, there's liquor on the side stand, the night table. They're just laying in bed, enjoying themselves, relaxing and chilling, because they're not going anywhere. All right. And they're farting loud, because they're not getting out of bed. Okay. Tell you right now, that's the reality with Gen Z. They're not going to get Gen Z. They're not going to get Gen Z unless they pick them up and physically put them on the bus. They're not going to get these people. It's going to be very, very difficult, and they know it. And then there's another problem. Like I have comments from Gen Zers who say that if they bring them overseas, they're going to fight with the enemy. If you bring them overseas, they're going to fight with the enemy, and I really do not put it past them. Some of y'all are here like talking about like, well, they could just be friendly fire. Yeah, they'll be friendly fire, all right. These Gen Zers will join the enemy. They'll join the enemy. So it's gonna. The reality is that when the draft kicks in, they're coming for us. They're coming for us. Now, something intriguing about this though is that women would be required to register for the draft. However, this bill would only require people would only automatically sign up people between the ages of 18 and 26. So younger women between the ages of 18 and 26 would automatically be signed up, but older women who are older than 26, technically speaking, this is where things get interesting. Technically speaking, they would still need to sign up for the draft, but there might be exceptions there because some of them would fall out of the age. And there would be restrictions like, okay, well, if you were this age at this point, then you would not be required to sign up. It'd be very, very intriguing. It'd be very, very intriguing. The reality is that this whole draft thing is not, it's not for Gen Z, it's for millennials, because they have the tired millennials who suffered so much, and they're coming for the millennials. They know Gen Z's can't. Gen Z is mentally ill. Gen Z is overweight. Gen Z is toxic, guys. Employers, 4 out of 10 employers back in 2022 said they were avoiding hiring any Gen Zers. Okay, numerous employers are avoiding hiring Gen Zers, even from Harvard and Ivy League schools, saying how disappointed they are with these Gen Zers coming from Harvard and Ivy League, other Ivy League schools, and saying that they're not prepared for the workforce and they're just not that bright. This is from the so-called best schools in the country. Okay, best schools in the country. Nah, they're planning to come for the millennials. That's who they're coming for. They're gonna come for the millennials. They're gonna say, "All right, we're here. Listen, we need you to serve your country, okay?" And that's just how it's gonna be, because Gen Z is so irresponsible. They're gonna go for the millennials, the last generation of people that they could try to guilt or basically force into being responsible. And it's like it's gonna be hard. I don't know how the millennials are gonna handle it. Listen to me. I'm a 41-year-old man. I'll be 41 a couple of months, just 3-4 months. I'm a 41-year-old man. I've got a bad back. These knees are killing me, you know. I'm just being very, very honest. I've been through a whole lot. I've been through a lot in my life. And I know they didn't ask me all that, but I'm just putting it out there. You know, I listen to me. I'm just being very, very real. Being very, very real. Just shoots. I mean, might be looking into filing for some disability, because you know, like, listen, those years of working and stress. I'm just telling you, it's just very, very, it's very, very hard. You know, I got some PTSD that I still need to resolve. Complex PTSD, childhood trauma. I'm just, I'm just being so honest with y'all, and that's how a lot of people are gonna be rolling. Okay, no man right now is going to go and fight for a country that hates them. This is the worst. And they're like, oh, the US has the best military in the world. Yeah, you have the best military in the world. So so go have drones fight all your wars. That's something that they had on The Simpsons years ago, where they basically suggested that, you know, future military service will be done entirely by drones. You know, like machines will be fighting future wars. And yeah, that does seem like a possibility. Like, you know, machines will be much more involved. However, trust me when I say, like, that could be a really hellish outcome. Like, imagine you have a war and, you know, you just basically have drones. That you know, it's crazy. The reality is that, you know, they would adapt, but you know, I don't know. It would be very, very. It would like basically violate like rules of war, and you know that would the war crimes and all. But then again, I mean, the point I'm just trying to make is like you need people to actually go. You need physical human beings to do these jobs. We're not at the point yet where AI is going to replace all of these jobs. And like I said, Gen Z is not Gen Z. You're not going to get Gen Z. All right. You know, Sergeant comes to the door, starts banging on the door, has the cops with them. Gen Z's not going to open the door. They're gonna be laying in bed, farting up a storm. All right, farting up a storm, laying in bed. They're not going to open the door. They're not going to answer the door. And you know, they can come several times, but they can't legally just enter. All right, because no crime has been committed. It's funny. But with that said, like I will say some things I heard. I will say that I heard some very interesting things regarding the Vietnamese War, where there were a lot of young men who didn't want to get on the bus, and somehow they still ended up on the bus. I will say that there are movies about it. There were a lot of young men during the Vietnamese War, like, you know, when the draft hit, and these men said they don't want to get on the bus, and somehow they still magically ended up on the bus. And I'm not saying that they were carried onto the bus, but you know, I'm not saying they weren't carried onto the bus or coerced onto the bus using physical means of physical compliance. If you get what I'm hinting at. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, consider checking out the Men Walking Away channel, where I release daily videos. There's a link to it in the description of the video. Go check it out, subscribe to the channel, enjoy the content. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? New law to automatically draft women is now set to be passed. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, Men Walking Away, and cheers.